Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a really powerful book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. We're going to unpack the science behind how you can make real, lasting changes in your life. So, let's get right into it.
All right, let me ask you a question, and be honest with yourself. Do you ever feel kind of stuck? You know? Like you're living the same day on a loop, hoping something new will happen, but you always end up right back where you started? If that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. Because in this explainer, we're not just going to talk about why we get stuck. We are going to dig into the science and hand you the actual tools for your own mind, to finally break that cycle and start building a new future on purpose. And hey, real quick, as we get into all this good stuff, if you find this content valuable, do me a huge favor and hit that right button. It honestly helps other people who need to see this find it.
Okay, so let's start with the big question. What is the problem here? Why do so many of us feel stuck just reliving the same old limitations day in and day out?
You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza just nails it with this quote. He says, "The greatest habit you must break is the habit of being your old self." Now, that's not just a catchy line, it's everything. Our self, our whole identity, is really just a bundle of habits, thoughts, and feelings we've practiced for years. And this right here, this is the trap we all fall into. We get caught between a past that's super familiar and a future that feels totally predictable. And why is that? It's because our body is on autopilot. It gets so used to the chemical cocktail of certain emotions, stress, worry, guilt, that when our body is living in the past, our mind just automatically assumes the future is going to be more of the same. Breaking that cycle is job number one. This leads to a pretty wild concept: emotional addiction. I mean, think about it. If you've been feeling stressed for, say, 10 years, the cells in your body have literally gotten used to that chemical state. So your body starts to crave those feelings, not because they feel good, but because they feel normal. Your body basically becomes the mind, demanding the very emotions you're trying so hard to change. But okay, here's where it gets really good. Let's jump into section 2 and see how science actually gives us a way out of this loop. This is where we learn how to create a whole new reality. So this is based on a really cool idea from quantum physics called the observer effect. Now, don't worry, I'll make this super simple. The takeaway for us is that the universe is just this sea of potential, and it's our focused attention, our mind, that collapses all that potential into what we call reality. Simply put, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Your thoughts are literally building your life. So what does that actually mean for us? It means if you really want to change, you have to learn to think bigger than 3 things. First, your environment, all the same people and places that keep triggering the old you. Second, you got to be bigger than your body and all its chemical cravings for those old feelings. And finally, you have to be greater than time itself by pulling your focus out of the past and placing it on the future you want. All right, I know what you're thinking. That sounds amazing in theory, but how in the world do we actually do that? Well, that brings us to section 3 and the #1 tool for this whole process: the power of meditation. Now, let's just clear the air. When I say meditation, I don't want you to just think of sitting quietly. In this context, it's an active skill. It's the process of getting beyond your thinking, analytical mind so you can get access to your subconscious, which is basically the operating system where all those automatic programs are running. And here's what's literally happening inside your head when you do this. Most of the day, we're in this high-alert beta brainwave state. Meditation is the skill of slowing those brainwaves down into alpha and then even slower into theta. Now, theta is the sweet spot. Think of it as the back door to your subconscious mind. Your analytical brain goes quiet, and you can get in there and start installing new software.
It all follows this really logical path from thinking to doing to being. So first you learn something new, that's thinking. Then you have to apply it. You have to practice it through meditation, that's doing, which creates a new experience. And if you do that enough times, that new way of thinking and feeling becomes automatic. It becomes second nature. It just becomes who you are. And that's the state of being.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get down to brass tacks. We're moving into the how-to part, your actual game plan, the 4-week transformation. The book lays out this awesome 4-week journey. So week 1 is all about getting brutally honest. You acknowledge the old self you want to change. Week 2 is about surrender, letting go and trusting in a bigger potential.
Then in week 3, you become the observer, learning to catch those old thoughts before they run away with you. And finally, week 4 is when you become the creator, actively rehearsing your new self into existence.
Okay, I need you to lean in for this part because it is the most important takeaway. Just knowing this stuff, it's not enough, not even close. The real magic, the real change, happens when you apply it. Knowledge is just the map. The meditation exercises are where you actually take the journey. Practical application is absolutely everything.
So let's zoom in on that powerhouse exercise from week 4, mental rehearsal. First, you get super clear on the new you. Then, and this is the secret sauce, you have to feel the emotions of your future now. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the freedom, as if it's already a reality. When you do this every single day, you are literally rewiring your brain and reconditioning your body to a new mind.
All right, let's wrap all of this up. The biggest takeaway is that your new future, it doesn't have to wait for something outside of you to change. It starts right now, right inside of you.
It really all boils down to this one simple, powerful truth from the book. You cannot create a new life if you're still holding on to your old self. To change your life, you have to become someone else, someone defined by new thoughts and totally new feelings.
So as we close this out, I'm going to leave you with one question to really think about. After everything we've talked about, who do you want to be tomorrow? Because the choice and the power to make it happen is all yours. Hey, if this breakdown resonated with you and you want to keep exploring these kinds of ideas, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. We can continue this journey of self-development together. Thanks so much for watching.